Hi, this is Devon, just checking in to let you know that this episode has a content warning for sexual assault. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Welcome to Myth and Kin, a travelogue podcast about the Witcher series. I'm Devon, and I'm joined, as always, by Sam.
Hello.
We've gone through the Witcher books, and we have started in on the games, and this time we're going to be talking about The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings, which is, I think, where the games made the biggest splash before the cannonball that is Witcher 3.
Yeah, I'd say The Witcher 1 felt like a little bit of a mild cult hit, because I'd see stuff about it. I saw the box and I was like, what is that? And I'd see it like a few write-ups about it at the time, but The Witcher 2 is the one where I felt like definitely more people were talking about it, even if it's just some weird PC RPG that seemed to take more inspiration from... I suppose that's the thing, is this one seems to take more inspiration from console games than the other did.
And it did eventually become a console game.
Yes.
Which is, I think, part of why it got more notoriety.
Yeah, and I actually I was able to get a review copy of the console version when it launched.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get it before it launched, but there was a mishap with my address. The CD Projekt Red PR person thought, oh, I don't have an address number. I'm like, no, I live in a flat. I don't have an address number.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
So yeah, Witcher 2 feels like Witcher 1-ish, in that it's trying to introduce a new crowd of people to the series without just giving them a bunch of books to read, but it also is very clearly wanting to step away from The Witcher 1 in terms of, like, plot. Also, I want to clear something up. We were talking about some stuff based on some misconceptions I had. The Order of the Flaming Rose shows up just to be a callback to Witcher 1 in the third chapter of this game, and if you side with them, they will let you through to the city they're guarding, but otherwise they will be hostile, and you either have to kill them all or go around.
Yeah. It's
supposedly if you spared Siegfried, but I definitely did that on the neutral path, and they were still mad at me.
I mean, they're always mad at you. It's just they approach things differently, I guess. I
mean, yeah, they were, like, hostile immediately and without reproach. So, yeah, no, it wasn't great. And it's fine. Like, the fact that the Order of the Flaming Rose is just, like, if you didn't know who they were, that's fine. They're just another army that Geralt will, like, reference having been involved with, which that's all the first game amounts to, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's like hinted history over everything, and that's just fantasy world building, and you don't really take that for like, consider that in a way that's like, oh, I missed something.
Yeah. So, once again, we come to the conclusion, you don't need to play The Witcher 1.
Yeah, not a lot happens. I mean, they literally made a trailer. We cover this.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah, because, I mean, this game launched on Xbox 360, a platform which is without The Witcher 1.
Yeah. They were apparently going to try and port Witcher 1 to Xbox 360 under the name Rise of the White Wolf, and that's where the mod of the same name got its title, but they didn't. So it's just the mod, which is a graphical overhaul and some battle tweaks, I think. But that's what we played The Witcher 1 with.
Yeah.
So, Witcher 2 is a lot more compact, and that does it a lot of favors.
Yeah, it's a astonishingly, surprisingly short game.
Yeah, I played through it in basically 2 days.
If my playtime count on GOG Galaxy is to be believed, I spent about 18 hours.
That's believable, because you've played this before, and I was doing a lot of running back and forth. Meanwhile, my file was like, I basically did the prologue, took a break to do the editing for Witcher 1, our Witcher 1 episode, and then came back to it and beat it in the span of like 3 or 4 days total. That added up to about 21 hours.
I suspect, because GOG Galaxy has given some conflicting playtimes for me before. So, like, my Witcher 3 save on GOG Galaxy is just over 100 hours, but on in this game itself, because it has a playtime, it was about 160.
Yeah, I remember you posting a screenshot.
It might be close to 180.
Yeah, I remember seeing a screenshot that was like 175 when you were nearing the end of the second expansion.
Yeah.
But, like, I did leave it on while I was going to do things a few times, so, like, there's probably a couple hours. But, like, it's a really, I don't even want to say dense, it's just a light game overall. Because it does have a lot of stuff, but it's also just kind of, like, the environments are smaller, thank fuck. The side quest chains are less labyrinthine, and generally the main story isn't locked behind a random murder mystery.
Yeah. It definitely feels that there's a lot more... I mean, there's a lot more cause for momentum, because Geralt... I mean, we should just get into the plot of the thing. So, when you load up the game, there's this Lavage-produced CG intro of a king being murdered.
Yeah, on a boat while he's being entertained.
It's a cool visual thing.
Yeah.
It's neat. I believe the guy behind that animation was attached to... He's like, anytime for a while rumours of like a Witcher TV series or movie surfaced, he was attached to direct the thing. But I don't know if he's attached to the Witcher series anymore. Probably not. But, so, we begin with Geralt being interrogated in prison by Commander of the Blue Stripes, Vernon Roach, who accuses him of being the murderer of King Foltest.
Yep.
Who you may remember from the previous game, Geralt had just saved him at the end from a assassin who turned out to also be a Witcher.
Yep, that is the entirety of The Witcher 1's plot relevance.
Yes. So it turns out, during the interrogation, for some reason, like, Roach asks you, like, it gives you the option of doing, like, 3 different parts.
Yeah, it just annoyed me.
It's like, you've got a story, like, so it's like Geralt recounting what he did with Foltest, but you can choose the order, which is a really weird way of doing it, because, like, the best way to do it would just be in chronological order, because otherwise it'd be a bit confusing. Which
I ended up doing anyway, just naturally, even the first time I play this, because it's just like, well, okay, that seems like the natural way to do things, but it's just, like, weird choice for choice's sake stuff. It's also reminiscent of, like, the weird necessity of framing stories in the books. Like,
yeah.
This didn't need to be here. Like, I wouldn't mind if, like, Geralt talking with Roach was, like, narration pasted over or, like, between, scenes in the Foltest's, like, assault on the castle. Like, that would make sense. This is just, like, okay, why are we doing this? This is a really awkward setup for all this.
Of course. So, basically, in this, not choice-driven, but, like, the flashback sequences.
Yeah,
you find
prologue.
That, the prologue, King Foltest has basically kept Geralt around as kind of a good luck charm as he's saved him a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And King Foltest wants to claim back his sons that he had. Well, not sons, children.
Yeah.
It's a boy and a girl. He basically had a secret relationship with Maria Louisa Lavalette, and he wants the children to take with him back to Vizima, but Maria, I'm going to say for shortness.
Yep.
Instead of twisting my tongue, doesn't want to give up those children, so war ensues, and you, as Geralt, are basically with Foltest storming the castle.
Yep.
And along the way, you have a few confrontations with Maria's son, Arion.
Yeah, which is an unfortunate name for a few reasons.
Oh, of course. But that sort of can result in a few ways. You can kill Arion, let him live, whatever.
I think it's specifically, like, the ability to spare him is dependent on whether you killed, Striga lady. I forget her name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I spared him.
Yeah.
And I let the Striga live.
That's what I mean. Like, if you kill her.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's true. I might be wrong, but I remember reading that somewhere that, like, if he gets mad if you killed her because Witcher's not taking mercy.
Yeah. So you get through that, and then you somehow get attacked by a dragon.
Yeah.
There's a dragon. It shows up. It'll be important later. You'll see the Scoia'tael. You notice them. They'll be important later. Then, after going through the castle, you and Foltest get to the children.
Yeah,
you were successful, but then the king gets murdered.
Yep.
He just gets killed right in front of Geralt, and then the killer escapes, and soldiers show up, and...
Important is that the soldier escapes with the assistance of a Scoia'tael band.
Oh, yeah. The killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, soldiers show up, and they see a dead king and Geralt, and, I mean, if I was a soldier, I would assume the same.
Yep.
Geralt's a suspect in the murder of King Foltest, and is taken to be interrogated. And
thus frames the introduction with Vernon Roche.
Yeah, so Vernon Roche is the commander of the Blue Stripes, which is the Temerian Special Forces, and that's kind of like, I mean, when you talk to them, because there's a point in the next chapter where you can talk to them. A lot of them, it seems like a task force set to get rid of the Scoia'tael.
Yeah, pretty much.
Specifically, because a lot of the people that work there basically talk about how they've been burned by the Scoia'tael and have, want revenge on them. So then Roche helps Geralt escape the prison, and he can be joined by Triss to go over to the port town of Flotsam.
Yeah. Also, while we're on this topic of the prologue, there is a quest you can do where you help one of the Crinford Reavers.
Oh god, them, yeah.
Yeah, the ones who, threatened to rape Yennefer in one of them stories. We're gonna have one of those fucking warnings at the fucking front of this episode.
Yeah, well, we're gonna need to with some of the stuff that happens in this game.
But yeah, you help one of their new recruits, New Boy. I don't think he was in the fucking story, but whatever. He took a bet against a knight because he found this amulet, and there are 3 outcomes to this fucking quest. You either tell him, nah, it's fine, that amulet's fine. It's not, it's cursed. You either tell him, yeah, you should probably not, it's magic, but I can't tell what it is. And he's just like, fuck this, I'm wearing my armor then, and I'll lose my honor so I can live. Or you just go, hey, that shit's cursed as fuck, and he gives it to you. But the thing is, if he dies, either through going into battle, or you can kill him after the fact. If you get caught when you're escaping the jail, he has to side with the guards at that point. So, if you kill him there, you also get the amulet. But if you get this amulet, it is definitely cursed, and there's a quest to uncurse it. And
oh, wow.
It's really specific that you have to tell him that shit's cursed for him to give it to you, and it does have an armor penalty, so it'll fuck you up in battle, which is annoying. Which I guess is the reason you would want to put off the fucking first scene until later, so you'd have left stuff to do while you have that armor debuff. But I don't know, that's just dumb. But anyway, yeah, you do this quest and you can get it re-blessed, and all it does is provide vitality regeneration outside battle anyway. So it's just that's what the game does. You don't need to do that quest. But it feels really stupid to have a quest locked in like that.
The vitality regeneration is a lot more strict on harder difficulties.
Fair.
I don't know how about it is in 2, but on higher difficulties of 3, there's no vitality regeneration outside of combat.
Ugh. But yeah, that's a thing. If you do save him, but don't get the amulet, he gives you a book about dragons, which you don't need, ever. So it's just kind of dumb.
So now, we're on to Chapter 1, in which we head to the port town of Flotsam, sort of around, I guess, geographically, the Pontar Valley near Eden.
That's certainly a thing.
Yep. But on the way, you're ambushed by Scoia'tael, led by an elf named Yorveth, who seems to be working with the Kingslayer, who has also killed King Demavend of Eden.
Yep. Those are the only 2 kings that die in this game.
We'll get to that later.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to it later. So you get to Flotsam, you save Dandelion and Zoltan from being hanged, which is similar to the scene of Dandelion in Toussaint.
Yep.
In the last book, but I feel like it's more fun in the last book.
Yeah, because Ciri's there, and also Dandelion is being hanged in the peaceful town and making an appeal to the audience.
Yeah,
that was a lot more fun than this just grim bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, the last book, it felt like it did feel a bit like a Monty Python bit, but
I mean, that's preferable to this.
And then, I guess, like, the town's being terrorized by the Karen, which is a giant monster, which is much bigger than it should be. Like, through an investigation, you find it's being, like, altered by magic. And Sheila de Tancerville, another sorceress, is there to help murder it.
Yeah.
So you can help her. Well, you have to help her in the quest to murder it, and also negotiate over pay with the head of merchants.
Yep.
Which the fun thing is, I negotiated to have the same pay as Sheila does. So because like initially you can have it split halfway, but if you convince them, you can get it double.
Yeah, I was just like, well, whatever. I'll make enough money on my own. I don't need to bugger with this.
Oh yeah, no. You don't end up with a ton of money in this game, but like you do end up with enough money.
Yeah.
And enough resources, especially if you, like us, have the zero weight inventory mod, where everything weighs nothing, so you never get full inventory.
Yes, it's very nice.
Yeah. So then you also find that kind of like Flotsam is being commanded by a guy called Lorido, who is working with Temeria, and Lorido is kind of like a bit too, like, sort of the corrupt, power-hungry guy.
Yeah, he is also extremely full of himself.
He's extremely full of himself. He is the corrupt chief of police, basically.
Yep.
And it's kind of interesting how he's sort of, like, the kind of playing factions against each other, really rallying people against the Scoia'tael and the Scoia'tael against people, because, like, so that they don't have any sort of power around him in infighting. And I think that's kind of interesting how it sort of has that rather than just there are these two factions, both of them have convincing things but are also partly unsympathetic. I mean, it has that as well.
Yeah.
But it's also just that, like, kind of has some, like, slight more nuance to that, but not a lot.
Yeah, like a marginal amount.
Yeah. So, you can find, like, through investigation, that he is planning to sell the town to Kedwen, a different country.
Yep.
So then, we then have to you also have to investigate the Scoia'tael, who are working with Kingslayer, and find out he is a witcher named Letho.
Yep.
Who intends to betray Yorvith. So, you and Yorvith join forces and confront him.
Yeah. I just also want to say, the end of this chapter all happens basically after you deal with a Karen, and it all happens really fast.
Oh yeah, and it's like the place where you like meet like Scoia'tael people, or where you fight Yorvith. Like the first time you go there is just with Triss alone, and like you basically end up trapped in some like old elven bath place, like a bathhouse.
It's an old elven bath ruin with working water still.
And so there's a love scene with Triss there, and I know you played this game without shoes on for some reason.
Okay.
So
I because of how the menus work, I was playing with the controller, obviously, but the cursor, when you're in the controller mode, defaults on one of the equipped items when you open the menu, and I accidentally...
It's the shoes. So I went to go equip something else, and I unequipped my shoes, and I didn't notice until I had sold them, and was walking around the entirety of Act 1 and a decent chunk of Act 2 without fucking shoes. I mean, they don't give a lot of armor, so it's fine.
They didn't. The ones I was wearing didn't give any armor. It just kept me from lighting on fire.
It sounds useful, but...
it was 1%.
It's just funny how, like... So you have a love scene where you have struggled to take your shoes off, but you had no shoes.
Yeah, it was...
So it still does the animation.
It was very, very dumb. And... it was the most, like... surreal moment. Just like, oh, they really expect me to have shoes on. Player choice.
So you can kind of confront Letho with Yorvith. When I say you can all the time, you do this. This is one thing you do. This is not like not everything is a choice in this game.
Yeah.
But so you do confront Letho with Yorvith, but then Roach arrives with an army. I don't know why he does this. It's really inconvenient.
Yeah, I don't know.
I guess he still has his duty to fight the Scoia'tael.
Yeah, and also he, like, I think Geralt even, like, goes to Roach and is like, hey, we could use the Scoia'tael to talk to Letho, and if you just let me do my thing, we can get to him. And Roach is like, no, I hate Scoia'tael, fuck you. Because that's essentially his character.
Yeah, did you spend much time with the Blue Stripes?
No, I didn't.
So you can kind of hang out with the Blue Stripes, and like when you do hang out with the Blue Stripes, you get drunk, and basically blackout drunk, so you don't know what's happened, and you wake up hungover somewhere without any of your items, or a lot of your items at least. And you basically have to go back and find out what happened, and you also have a tattoo on your neck. Which, by the way, if you don't get that taken off, it stays for Witcher 3.
Oh, man. I kind of regret that. Is that in Chapter 1 only?
That's only in Chapter 1, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's, it's the only, because that's the only time you can sort of hang about with the Blue Stripes. I guess, no, they hang around in the Kedwin camp if you...
Go with Roach.
Go with Roach. So, at this point, you can choose whether or not to help Roach or Yorvith.
Yeah.
I chose Roach because I've chosen Yorvith twice before. And for the sake of balance, I assume you chose Yorvith?
Yes, I did.
Yes. So if you choose Roach, you basically end up on a mission to help assassinate Laredo. And then so you do that. And the way you do it is it's kind of like, it's sort of like the stealthy bit when you're sneaking into his, because there's a point when you find out he's conspiring with Kedwin, it's like you sort of sneak in.
Yeah.
And there's a bit like that in this, but if you get caught, you just fight.
Fair.
The plot is to use like Vess as a prostitute with another prostitute who's already one, and then get Geralt to sneak in. Here's the thing: did Vess talk much in what you played?
No, I didn't talk to her at all.
Like, so it's weird how, like, if you don't go on Roach's path, Vesk is basically just a silent character for the entire game if you don't, like, actually go and talk to her. It's weird.
Yeah. Also, when you're helping Roach in Chapter 1, instead you can be helping Yorvith, and basically what that plan entails is, instead of helping assassinate Laredo, you lead Yorvith through town and steal a prison boat with a bunch of Scoia'tael. You've done this? Did you not?
Yeah, it's been fucking 3 years.
Jesus. You steal a barge with a bunch of non-human prisoners on it, and then you have to make a choice, because Laredo's just like, wow, that's bullshit. I'm gonna light this building on fire that has elven women in it. Ha ha! You can't catch me and get them out of the burning building. I'm running away now, bye! And then you have to make another choice. And Laredo comes back if you don't kill him at some point, I think.
Okay.
Let me check the decision checklist. If you decide to save the imprisoned women, at the end of the game you learn Laredo sold Flotsam to Cadwin, and non-humans therefore got it even worse. But I did, yeah.
So, I now remember that's basically what I did in previous playthroughs of the game?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you killed Laredo?
No, I didn't. I saved the women. Because, like, Flotsam was gonna get sold to Cadwin, not through fucking Laredo's hand anyway. Like, this entire game is about the territorial struggle over the Pontar Valley anyway? So
yeah, but if you do murder Laredo, it doesn't get sold to Kedwin. But at least in, like, Roach's path.
Yeah, no, if Laredo ends up dead, he doesn't sell it to Kedwin. So, like,
But then again, in my play, there wasn't much of Kedwin to sell to.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then you sail to Vergen.
Well, both playthroughs, you sail to somewhere in Upper Edirn.
Yeah.
We have a little scene where, like, Henselt and King Henselt of Kedwin and Saskia the Dragonslayer, who is in charge of rebels in the area, basically start negotiating over terms to have control over the country of Edirn because King Demavend is dead.
Yep.
And so they kind of, like, start fighting because they don't really get good terms, and Henselt's kind of a character who kind of just takes what he wants.
Yeah, I felt like I had failed something by them breaking out into fighting, but, like, that was going to happen no matter what, so...
Yes, because blood ends up spilt on a big stone object, and a giant curse, fog, basically envelops a huge battlefield, which is that's the battle depicted at the end of the last book, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it features the Dun Banner.
Yes, the Dun Banner. So, at this point, if you helped Roach, you end up in a Kedwini camp with King Hensel and the mages Sheila de Tancerville, who was at Flotsam, and Deathmold, who is written as... I feel like he's written as Detmold in the books, which is a German town I used to live in. I don't know why that tickles me, but I'm annoyed that they made it as Deathmold here. I'll have to double check that, actually.
Yeah, it is Detmold.
Yes. I don't remember anything about living in Germany, by the way. I was a baby. So, when you get to that Kedwini camp, there's kind of a few things. There's like 2 curses going on. There's one on the battlefield and one on Henselt himself.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, so when you're in the Kedwini camp, you have to also like reenact, basically, Henselt is cursed by a sorceress who he had ordered killed. So...
Oh, was that Sabrina Glesevig?
Sabrina Glesevig.
Yeah.
And basically you have to like go through reenacting her execution to then, with a bunch of like extra magic stuff, to then lift the curse off of Henselt.
That's interesting. So it's basically like the main plot of both sides again. Or I do have to ask, in the Roach side, do you have to reenact the battle?
Yes, so there's 2 quests that are basically the same-ish for both sides. So having to find Triss, who is kidnapped by Letho at the end of the previous chapter. Probably should have mentioned that there.
I mean...
And basically they take her... You find that she's been kidnapped by Nilfgaardians. It's spies in the Vergen side, and they consort on the Kedwin side, because like there's a conspiracy against King Henselt, because people feel he is also conspiring with Nilfgaard.
Yeah. And
people are loyal to Kedwin and don't like that Nilfgaard are there.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, Nilfgaard is a looming threat, and has been the entire series, and the game ends with Nilfgaard invading the north. So...
Yeah, so Dandelion is involved in the plot against Henselt as well.
Oh boy.
Like, he ends up, like, writing some poetry against,
some propaganda.
or, like, some, like, political propaganda, and, like, quotes Geralt in it.
Oh no. The least neutral.
Yes. So, you lift the curse on the battlefield, which is... So, the difference in the Vergen side is you have to also... Saskia, the Dragon Slayer, is who you side with in Vergen.
Yes.
And the Rebels, which involves a lot of Scoia'tael and Dwarves.
A lot of non-humans, and
yeah.
And a lot of displaced humans.
And Sorceress Philippa Eilhart is there as her advisor.
Yep.
I think the only different major quest is resolving her poisoning of Saskia.
Yeah, so basically Saskia, at the council with all these rebel leaders, is poisoned. And you have to go through a bunch of different stuff because it's Fomador, Magebane, very specific poison that has a very specific cure. And you have to go through a bunch of quests to get, like, a Dragon's Dream and fucking Immortelle. So you have to go diving in the mines of not Moria. They make a fucking Lord of the Rings joke at some point, aside from the Mines of Moria thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, the entire thing is you need to find ingredients to cast a spell that will let you reenact the battle to clear the curse of the battlefield. And also you need to find items to help you locate Triss. And in the process of doing the first one, where you need all the stuff for the battlefield curse, you have to find the cure for the poison, which includes a Rose of Remembrance, but it doesn't.
Oh.
Oh no.
Oh dear.
So, a lot of the chapter is just like doing quests to get rewards for other quests.
Yeah. Which
is in some ways satisfying, but it's very dense, and like I did it all in like 2 playthroughs or 2 sittings.
Oh yeah.
And I actually, when I found out I missed a quest because of a certain quest trigger that I didn't pick up when I went to the Dream Harpy's nest. There's a special quest there where you pick up a silver crystal, you look through it, and you find a rune maker, or like a rune master, that is a dwarf that can imbue runes onto silver weapons and all that crap, and they make really good weapons. The last one, of Vergen, just fucking vanished, and no one's seen him except you found one of his memories, and you investigate it, and you find out, oh, his apprentices fucking murdered him for his secrets, and you murder them for trying to kill you. Or you can side with them too, but, like, fuck it. You deal with them, you get a chest, and you find, like, a receipt for a thing that is necessary for doing a subquest in the main plot, which gets you extra XP, which is nice. But I didn't do that before I progressed with the main plot, so I went back and did like 45 minutes of content again. So it was not great to miss the one thing that triggered like a cascade of things, which is the downfall of like cascading quests like that.
Yeah, it's kind of made it hard to talk about like the story of this game, because it's just kind of very much overlapping quests like that and just doing bits of each.
Yep.
And like the quest to get the items for lifting the curse on the battlefield before reenacting the battlefield, like it's basically you have to get the same items from both sides.
Yeah.
Which I believe is maybe slightly worse than the Vergen one, because you have to do like a really bad stealth sequence for that.
Oh fuck! What?
Because you sneak into the Kedwenny camp, don't you?
I think no, that's after.
Is it?
Yeah, that's after.
Because you need the King's Medallion.
No.
Don't you? Oh, I guess it's different on my side then.
No. The ingredients you need for the thing are in Vergen's side are you need Saskia's sword, which is why you need to cure her thing. You need the Dunbanner standard, which is the other thing, like the royal fealty thing that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And then Philippa's just like, don't worry about the other two, we'll manage with just those two.
Oh, okay, because on mine I also had Seltkirk's armor. Was it Seltkirk's armor?
Yeah.
And the medallion that King Henselt wears. Yeah,
no. I think basically Saskia's sword is equivalent to Henselt's, because it's specifically Vandergrift's sword.
No, because you like in the Kedwen side, you also have to go over to Vergen and get her sword.
Huh? Because that there was only like two things for. Mm-hmm. Let me. I need to double check.
Maybe the medallion's to pass over the fog.
Yeah, that probably because like the fucking Philippa gives you her medallion that summons her as an owl that gives you safe passage. As an escort
yeah, that's probably it. Silly me. So I really liked the quest to get the Dunbanner.
Yeah,
it's because it's a trivia quest. It's like a quiz, basically.
Yeah, if you talk to enough people, you know the answers.
Yeah, basically, it's if you talk to enough people or you remember from the book.
Yeah.
You can basically answer, like, pretend to be a member of the Dunbanner to convince a ghost to give you the standard. You could kill him, and that's a lot easier to do that, but it's kind of really fun to just pretend to be. And I feel that's kind of like something that it's a good quest that kind of shows like Geralt's investigative skills, because that's kind of what his job is, really, as a Witcher.
Yeah, it shows that, along with the choice to kill or not kill the dragon at the end of this game, it shows that Witchers are meant to deal with monsters, not necessarily to kill them.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate that when it comes up. And like, in the Enhanced Edition, they added trolls for an achievement, and you can either kill or save the trolls for the achievement.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. It feels like that's kind of reminiscent of that, but it's done that in the most obvious for the series way.
Oh, yeah. So, once you've done all these quests on the Kedwenny side, it turns out Roach is plotting against Henselt, and he's been found out, and most of his blue stripes are murdered.
Oh, boy.
I think, and also, well, Vess is not murdered. Like, so, with Vess, this is going to be something that requires a bit of a content warning.
Oh.
But she is, like, almost, like, sexually assaulted by Laredo in the plot to kill Laredo.
Oh.
And then is raped by King Henselt.
Wow.
And it's just... Yeah. And it's just, like, The first part is too much. The second part is way too much. And it just is a bit edgy for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And a character who's also either can like just be completely silent for like most of the game potentially it's really weird how the game treats Vess, and kind of a shame.
The thing is, like, with that, too, there's an achievement for romancing her. Which is just a little bit much to include with that other stuff.
Yeah, I always feel uneasy about achievements for romance.
Yeah, and it's the only fucking one.
Yeah.
It's the only romance achievement in this game, and it's for the woman who gets sexually assaulted.
Yeah. And so, like, Roach basically wants revenge, so you can chase after Hensel, because they've all gone to Vergen to assault the place. And basically, in the Kedwini, if you've gone for the Kedwini side, Kedwin wins and takes control over Vergen.
Yep.
So, if you confront Hensel with Roach, basically you have an option to either let Roach kill King Hensel or spare him. Which is wild, considering you spend most of the game trying to clear your name from being a murderer of kings, yet you get the option to let a king die.
Yep.
I let Vernon Roach kill him.
That's fair.
Because Hensel's a bit of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So it seems a bit fair. Also, yeah. I thought it would just be more interesting to see what would happen.
Yeah. On Yorvith's side, you go and join up with the rebels in Vergen. Saskia gets poisoned. You cure her of the poison. She gives you her sword to go fix the curse. You go fix the curse. And then, I forget what the fucking... Like, you end up meeting Vernon Roach on the other side. You sneak through the Kedwini camp. And then something fucking happens. It's been like a week and I've already forgotten this.
Oh, well.
But yeah, over the course of this quest, right, you go back, you defend Vergen from the assault of the Kedwini, and then in the process, you go to route a flanking attempt through the mines. You go with Saskia, and it's revealed, oh my god, Saskia the Dragon Slayer is herself a dragon.
Remember Borch?
Yep, Borch 3 Jackdaws is her dad, I think. Because she mentions that he loved humanity and taught her how to love humanity and then fucked off forever. Which sounds exactly like what that character would do. But you realize in the course of all this as well that, well, okay, you route King Hensel, Saskia demands terms of surrender, and basically he accepts them and agrees to all the demands and then walks away back to his home base. Then Yorvith comes in and is just like, what the fuck is up with Saskia? She doesn't act like that. She looked like she was on Fist Hack or something. And it comes to be understood that maybe Saskia, in the process of having her poison removed, got, to quote a fucking dwarf, was it Zoltan? It was some fuckhead in the room.
Yeah.
Who just went, my favorite kind of magic, lesbomancy.
Oh, God.
Fuck this game, by the way. Yeah, uses the Rose of Remembrance, which wasn't in the antidote for the poison, to mind control Saskia. Philippa Earhart does. So now Philippa Earhart has a dragon under her control.
Oh, I forgot to mention the other plot to kill Hensel.
Yeah.
Some other witches are sent to kill Hensel. So Geralt defeats the witches, kills one of them, and with Deathmaul uses necromancy to find that Sheila and Philippa are behind the assassination attempts, or not attempts, because some are successful, but...
Yeah, behind the assassinations. And in either situation, in the process of this chapter, you find out Triss got captured by Nilfgaardians.
Yeah, and ends up in Loch Muin.
Yeah, she was turned into a figurine.
Much like Yennefer was in the books.
Yep, that's a reasonable throwback. That's fine.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting in Yorvith's path, who's the Nilfgaardian responsible in Roaches?
I forgot his name. But there is a Nilfgaardian.
Is it the ambassador?
Yes.
He has a fucked up name, that's fair.
Yeah.
He has a lot of... It's very French.
There's a lot of long, weird Nilfgaardian names.
Yeah. Also, fucking in chapter 1, Roach gives his name as fucking Emir Var Emrys, the spice trader,
spice merchant.
Yeah, which is just like, okay, you're being funny. Fine, because in Eurovit's path, the Nilfgaardian in question is Cynthia, who is fucking Philippa Eilhart's lesbian plaything and/or student.
Well,
yeah, like Geralt made a joke about the fact that she was leashed to Philippa Eilhart, and then when he comes back later, she's whipping her with a riding crop. So, like, fantasy stories written by men.txt.
Yeah, it's a bit much like that. So it kind of comes all to a head. After all these events, you chase Sheila and Philippa and Saskia down to Loch Muin, in which there is a big meeting with all the mages and all the big royal leaders to establish a magical ruling body known as the Conclave.
I mean, the re-establish, because there was a Conclave, and that happened to get obliterated at the Isle of Thanedd.
Yes, but Sheila and Philippa have kind of been using this as an attempt to gain their own power.
Yeah.
And also have Saskia, a dragon, as leverage to be able to do it.
Yep.
So, at this point, you basically get an option to save 2 people, and those 2 people depend on which path you went on. One of them is always Triss.
Yep.
So if you sided with Yorvith, you can go save Philippa Eilhart in order to break the mind control spell on Saskia, and if you're with Roach, you can save Princess Anais of Temeria, which is one of the children from the start of the game.
Yeah.
To basically have a royal figurehead for the country of Temeria to keep it existing as one thing. Because if you don't do that, Temeria gets split into pieces and is claimed by
Kidwini and Radovid.
Yeah.
I forget the fucking country. Radovid and Henselt split the country.
Redania.
That's the one. Which, I mean, fine, whatever. Fuck Temeria.
Depending on who you save, either Letho or Triss interrupts the meeting to reveal Sheila and Philippa's plan.
Yeah. So basically, the thing that comes up is, because Saskia is being mind-controlled, even as a dragon, Philippa's just like, once she gets her eyes scooped out, just off camera, she's just like, get me out of here and I'll give you what you need to save her from my mind control. And she stays true to that, which is nice. I ended up going with Triss because if you go with Triss, it saves a lot of mages from getting hunted in a witch hunt.
Yeah, because I wasn't going through like any wiki or remembering anything, like, because I've never saved Triss before. I usually, because I went Yorvith's path and usually save Philippa Eilhart because I wanted to save Saskia. Yeah. Because I felt like that was saving more people. But having gone through and saved Triss, because I didn't want to save Temeria. Didn't care about Temeria.
To be fair, if you don't pick Triss, Letho will save Triss. Like, she's not in any real danger, it's just, like, the political implications that come up.
The thing is, you don't know that going into the game without having looked it up before.
That's fair. I think it would be more in line for Geralt to want to save Triss.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially when he goes off and saves, like, Ciri.
Yeah.
During, like, the giant conflicts going on during those books. But Saskia shows up, and you have to fight her.
Yep.
Which is, that fight was really hard the first time I played this. I took so long to beat her. It's really easy now for me.
It's really underwhelming, especially on easy, but also just like, it's a dragon with some annoying hitboxes because the dragon.
I wonder if this game's like been made easier over time, because when I first played this in 2012, it's a really hard game. Or maybe I just sucked.
I feel like I always have to ask that question because I'm never sure whether I'm just getting better or the game or just getting used to the game.
I mean, in between that and the second time I played, I guess I played Dark Souls and finished it. I don't know if that means anything.
Oh yeah, by the way, Sheila attempts to escape, but in her teleport has a problem in it. One of the diamonds has a tiny flaw, and it can rip her apart or not if you save her.
Yeah, or you just don't let it rip her apart, and I saved her.
I let her die.
I'm not about letting mages explode.
I am.
Oh dear. So then after that, and the proper fight with Saskia, you kind of like have the choice of either letting her live, killing her, or if you save Philippa, you can reverse the spell.
Yep.
So, if you rescue Triss, the Conclave is re-established.
Yep.
And if you didn't, there's a big pogrom of magic users that starts in Lochmarine and will spread to the rest of the Northern Kingdoms.
Yep.
So it's just like, also, over the course of this game, Geralt gets like tiny bits of his memory back, stuff to do with Letho.
And Yennefer.
And Yennefer and the Wild Hunt.
Yeah.
So sort of flashbacks to find that, like, Geralt what happened to Geralt after the books is basically Yennefer was taken by the Wild Hunt, and Geralt basically traded her place for his, for himself. He ended up riding with the Wild Hunt for a while and escapes them, and that's kind of what he's doing at the start of the first game.
Yep. I also want to point out that Witcher 1 was all like, oh, Geralt and amnesia, he needs to take a stand on things, and this is going to be a hard, long thing where he has to learn what he was before he lost his memory. And this one is just like, oh, we have a Rose of Remembrance, this flower I just made up for the plot. Let's go make a spell using that so you can remember things.
I mean, he doesn't remember a lot of, like, it takes a while for him to remember everything.
To be fair, he doesn't get to use that spell.
Yes, that's
Triss gets kidnapped, but the fact that they made that up is just like, Rose of Remembrance, these are very magical and powerful, they can mind control a dragon, let's use this for a memory spell. They wanted to have that amnesiac plot up until the point where it got in the way of him being himself, and they had to write themselves out of that corner. It feels really awkward. So
then, you have a confrontation with Letho. Which can go several ways. I really like this bit, actually. Just how you can just sort of talk about a bunch of old memories. You can just go, fuck it, I can't be bothered, and just not kill him.
Yeah.
It's just like, it basically feels like a fuck it, I'm tired, and they just both drink vodka and just leave.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but like, it comes at the end of this game, which is just like, regicide and mage murder and a dragon, and it's just like, me getting lost in fucking Lochmarine for fucking 30 minutes because
Same.
I fucking hate that gargoyle quest. I hate it so much.
I didn't even bother.
I did, and I discovered that in the enhanced edition they added a fucking Temerian camp, and if you're playing on Yorvith's Path, they'll just fucking endlessly spawn, and you can't get through the fucking door to get to the place where all the guides said you should, because all the guides were made when the first Witcher 2 came out, and not the enhanced edition. And it's upsetting. I figured it out, but it's awful.
So, it turns out, Sheila and Philippa did hire Letho to kill kings, but it turns out Letho was actually working for the Nilfgaardians to destabilize the Northern Kingdoms.
Yeah, like, they only hired him for one murder?
And he made a bunch of murders.
Yeah.
And attempted a few. So after... I mean, did you let Letho live or kill him?
Yeah, I was just like, fuck it. I don't want a boss fight. I want to be done. So I just let him walk.
Yeah, same. I was just, fuck it. And it's interesting how there's an entire quest in Witcher 3 which will be gone if you kill Letho.
I mean, that's kind of the appeal of transferring save and decision stuff.
Yeah. But it's interesting how it's like, not just like most of these things, it's usually just a choice that carries over. In this case, it's just like an entire quest is not there.
Yeah.
Like, someone worked on a thing that's absent, depending on a choice in a prior game.
And it's like it's not like a passive thing. Like, you have to choose to kill that man.
Yeah. Letho does at this point also tell Geralt roughly where Yennefer is, because she's further south, because she's gone with Nilfgaard.
Yeah.
So, Geralt sets off to find Yennefer.
Also, one of the revelations that Geralt has while he recovers his memory at the end, in the middle of the conversation with Letho, which is why I was fine with, like, okay, he's recovering a lot of his memory because he's talking to someone who was in that 5-year period. That's important. The Wild Hunt is, as we know, a group of elves from another dimension. which is funny to say, but also the ghostly form is just like a projection that they use to scout out things, and when they need to have real action taken, they come themselves.
The book kind of hints at that, but this is the first time it's explicitly stated.
Yeah, like, it was kind of something you could read into it, but definitely explicitly Witcher Geralt. I keep calling him Witcher. Witcher.
He's the Witcher. Everyone else calls him Witcher.
Yeah, he's also not the only Witcher in this game. Anyway, Geralt explicitly says, no, they're from another place. Like, there's books you can pick up in, like, the Elven Baths, and you can talk to Dandelion about it, and it's just like, yeah, this book says that the Wild Hunt is from a different place, and the stars in the sky aren't just lights that twinkle. They're places just like this one. And Dandelion's just like, wow, that's fucked up and weird. That sounds wrong, but wouldn't it be cool? It's just like, shut the fuck up, writers. You're not that clever.
I mean, to be fair, it's slightly better than the way the books would do it, in which they'd have some woman make some observation, and Dandelion would say the correct observation.
Yeah.
As a conjecture.
Also, where they just, like, randomly throw Siri into our world for no reason.
Oh.
God, the books were so fucking surreal. I'm so glad we're done with them.
I mean, the Siri traveling world stuff, some of that I kind of thought was a bit fun.
I mean, it's as fun as the books got.
Yeah, like, the thing, like, the books are terrible, don't get me wrong, but, like, there's bits and pieces of those I appreciate in isolation themselves, rather than as a thing from The Witcher. Yeah.
The Monty Python gallows thing was alright.
Yes. So at the end of this game, Nilfgaard are coming. They're staging a large-scale invasion of the Northern Kingdoms now.
Yeah. One of the things you can do in the epilogue before you go meet Letho is actually Yorvith is getting carried off by a bunch of guards because he's beat to shit because you didn't go help him with Philippa. But the thing is, if you just talk to the guards a bunch, they're just like, fuck off, don't talk to me again. And if you talk to them too many times, they go aggressive and you kill them. And Triss is just like, what the fuck was that for? And Geralt's just like, I owe it to Yorvith this much at least, come on. And then Triss teleports him back to Bergen to heal, which I don't think you have to do, which is a thing I did. It felt right. Also, the Scoia'tael in the first game were just like, I don't know, they felt like comically opposed to everything, and then in this one they're part of like a coherent whole. I feel
they're still like the first game felt like you had to be choosing a moral grey decision. Yeah, and there's still a little bit of this, but it kind of feels, at least to me, that picking the Scoia'tael over Roach is a better decision. Because like, the elves are subjugated, and, like, going through Flotsam, you feel that, like, the elves have a lot more of a raw deal in the situation, because you've got someone like Bernard Lorido, who is basically campaigning in a way that pits, like, non-humans and humans against each other, and takes more power away from non-humans, so they can't as easily do things.
Yeah. I feel like in Witcher 1, it was less, like, because you spent so much time in, like, the Temple Quarter, which is where a lot of the non-humans lived, it was just like, okay, this is just a shitty city, and there's more of a stark divide between, like, how humans and non-humans live in Witcher 2, and I attribute that to a more talented environmental designer, which helps contribute to that feeling, because, like, we've been talking about the story. I will say, graphically and environmentally, design-wise, this game is a lot better than Witcher 1 in a lot of ways.
So much more colourful.
That too. Yeah, it's just like, they got some artists and a new engine, and I will also say that this, when it was new, was one of the things, like Crysis and stuff, people would blast this fucking game to maximum settings to see how good their computer could run, and it looks pretty fucking good.
I still can't run it on maximum settings too well without getting a bunch of frame drops in places.
Yeah, the technical aspects are, and like I won't fault like the visual design especially.
Yeah.
But, like, I feel like the writing is still a bit... It's better than Witcher 1.
Yeah.
Significantly, but it's still kind of off-putting to me. And that's why I'm not super fond of this game.
That's fair. I'd say the writing is probably at its worst in some of the side quests as well.
Yeah. Leroy pointed this out on Twitter.
Yeah.
But there's a side quest in Chapter 1 where there's a lady who people are claiming, or who guards are claiming that is part of the Scoia'tael, and she needs to be put to death. And you can go investigate, because, like, Witcher 1, if there was something like this, you'd go investigate, and there would be something sympathetic about, like, this person doing something wrong. But in this, if you cover for her, she's just like, okay, thank you, I'll reward you, come meet me over here later. And you're just like, okay, this is probably going to lead to a sex scene or something, whatever, I'll go see. And then you get ambushed by Scoia'tael, because she was leading guards to their death, and the way to get the best rewards out of this quest is just kill her.
Oh, I didn't kill her, I let her live.
I mean, just like, the way to get the best rewards is just to sell her outright.
Yeah.
And that's rough, because, like, there is, especially in this game, there's more work put in to justify the Scoia'tael's position, and to see it just kind of like, no, this time, just kill the elf.
Yeah. It's. I mean, there's a similar kind of quest in the second chapter with in the Kedmany camp, where there's a soldier who is given the nickname in the camp Crapper because 3 ghosts approached him and he shit himself and he's kind of humiliated and he wants to basically get rid of the ghosts so that he can just stop being haunted by it. And so if you go up to the ghosts, they basically tell you that, oh, we were 3 sisters, he was our brother, and he murdered us.
Oh.
And so you can bring the soldier there, and you can decide to either just kill the ghosts or kill the soldier. And if you kill the soldier, you find that this wasn't true at all. The soldier is just an innocent bystander, and these women haven't been murdered by this guy. They're just
doing that
an evil
for fun.
Ghost.
Fuck, that's kind of fucked.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, because I mean, there's a whole thing. Like it's not, this game doesn't do like a both sides are bad thing. Like these side quests are very much, what if the guy you thought would be good is actually bad?
Yeah, like there's a quest where you can investigate a succubus in Vergen, and the guy who sent you on the quest is just like, yeah, this is succubus, or there's a bunch of people getting killed by something over here in this burnt village, and if you investigate the corpse, it's just like, oh, a succubus probably did this, but there's a lot of external wounds. And if you investigate it properly, with surgical tools, you're just like, oh, there's a shard of a blade in here. So you go to the burnt village, and you're just like, okay, Dandelion, I need you to seduce a succubus. And he does, and he has some fun, because why wouldn't you walk him into the fucking succubus's lair? He's immune to problems. And then you go talk to her, and she's just like, look, you can kill me if you want, but I'm not killing these people. That guy who sent you on the quest, he fell in love with me, and he's not a fan of the fact that I'm a succubus. So he's killing all my lovers. And that turns out to be true. And it's just like, it's fine as a quest. I think, like, the problem is a lot of these, like, kind of shock pivot quests work better when they're contrasting against quests that play it straight. And there's none of those in this game.
Also, it's just like, the succubus quest isn't that, but the elf quest, the elf woman quest, and the dead ghost lady quests very much pit, like, the elves are, like, the race that are marginalized in this universe.
Yeah.
And, like, of course, like, women are, like, The Witcher is still, like, encompasses, like, sexism in real people, and like women still are poorly treated in the world of The Witcher.
Mm-hmm.
And like just to cast these 2 types of like characters in ways that are actually villains just seems slightly short-sighted.
Yeah.
And I think I still like this game, and I know you don't.
I like it more than Witcher 1, but that's a really low bar, to be fair.
Yeah, but I don't know, there's something about this kind of adventure, and it's fun in places, There's more to it than Witcher 1, yeah. But, and I just like playing this game. I like how this game plays. It's as fickle as that sometimes.
Yeah. I also feel like we've hit peak format where I'm the one who doesn't like the thing and you're the one who does for this thing, where I was supposed to be like the person doubting the series and you are the existing fan. And it's just like, peak, yeah, I don't like this all that much. I can see its improvements over the first one, and I guess I can see why people liked it in general, but like, this is not what I would consider good.
I think that's kind of interesting, because it does mean we have a dialogue instead of going, yeah, this is good.
I mean, yeah, but yeah, this is bad was very interesting for the books, because goddamn, the books were a lot.
There was a lot of bad.
There was a lot of bad. Okay, we have a question. Do we want to get to that?
We do. It's an interesting question.
Okay. So, from Leroy, who has been suffering alongside us for the games at least, and I think more suffering with this one than Witcher 1.
Sorry, Leroy.
Yeah, I think he's going... He doesn't have a copy yet, but I think he's probably also going to join us on Witcher 3 for as much as he can tolerate.
I still like that game.
I know, but it's also Leroy, who has like an allergy to corp games.
Yeah, no. I will be, like, fair. Like, I feel my tastes maybe skew a lot more mainstream than Leroy's. Maybe yours even, places.
Yeah,
but...
I bought the entire Assassin's Creed series pre-Origins, so just, like, maybe not. We'll see.
I mean, I own all those as well, so... Well, no, I've owned all of those. Some of them I don't have anymore.
I bought all of them on Uplay at once.
Oh, I'm never doing that.
Animus Pack, it was only like $110. Anyway, Leroy asks, how do y'all feel like Witcher 2 in 2018 compares to the, in my opinion, inane reception it had in 2010 or 2011 as a high water mark for RPGs?
So I played this in 2012 when the 360 release came out, and at the time I didn't think it was like amazing. I thought it was fine. I thought the game was just fine. I'm actually, over time, kind of grew to like it a bit more. There's just something that feels a bit endearing about it. So I kind of actually like it more than I did. But I don't think, if this game came out now, I don't feel like it would have the huge reception without, like, being some big high watermark corporate backing. Like, yeah. Because, I don't know, Rockstar Games always seems to get the fucking ridiculous praise because they're giant marketing machines, but this one, it is a weird, rough game in places, and I suppose it's like the weird kind of like things from console games coming into like a computer RPG, and this is kind of the peak era of that. And I feel like The Witcher 2 for me is one of those like games from that era that's kind of held up the most. Like Dragon Age, I don't enjoy playing a lot. Mass Effect, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to even go back to. As much as I loved those games when I played them, I'm very hesitant to ever revisit them. But this one, I will agree that the reception when it came out was overblown. I think partly because it was a difficult game when it came out, and like people have pride in being able to play difficult games. Yeah.
The friction was a large part of it. I think right after fucking... Because Demon's Souls didn't get a proper Western release for a bit until it did, obviously.
Yeah.
But, like, people were going gaga over that fucking game. And then Dark Souls really cemented that difficulty as an aesthetic thing.
Yeah. Demon's Souls was GameSpot's Game of the Year.
Yep.
Which was a bit of a controversial choice at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably, I mean, it was that over Red Dead Redemption, I think, which is actually the more like, Demon's Souls is the more interesting choice.
Yeah. The thing is, we also, like, Sam mentioned, kind of Mass Effect and the intersection between CRPGs and console RPGs, or console games in general, was kind of, like, intersecting at that point. Because, like, you know me. The listeners probably know me. I'm the fucking DGC guy. We play JRPGs. That very non-defined thing where, like, it just kind of irritates me that, like, 2010 was like that intersection where like Western RPGs could be things that weren't turn-based and isometric and all that good shit.
Yeah.
And they turned into action RPGs. And this is kind of part of that, I feel.
It's, I mean, like, the thing is, like, this period is when the Western RPG kind of takes off for the console gamer.
Yeah. There was stuff on, like, Xbox, because there was KOTOR and Morrowind.
There's, like, KOTOR, Morrowind,
and then once we get
Dark Alliance.
Yeah, and then 360 comes out, and you get Oblivion and Skyrim.
Skyrim, Mass Effect, Dragon Age.
Yeah, so, like, there's that intersection, but also, like, the specific thing where it's just, like, action RPGs are considered RPGs now.
Yeah.
And having a difficult thing be in that category finally was, like Sam said, the people really like being able to beat difficult things, even if they're not designed super great. I'm not super fond of how this game handles, like, invincibility frames. You don't get any. Rolling is just movement. Ripostes take vigor, which sucks. It's just, like, a lot of massive systems for me. But, like, having the difficulty in that action RPG, Western RPG category probably gave it a lot of clout.
I don't know, I kind of enjoy the combat on harder difficulties when I played it, because it becomes about especially against monsters, because it becomes about managing space in a kind of fun way. Also, the first upgrade you want to go for is footwork, which basically doubles the travel distance of your roll. Which, so if you do get the upgrade, again, it's faster to walk around with your sword out and just roll everywhere. It's weird. I mean, it's still kind of like, it still becomes a bit of a mash fest towards the end, because you just get more powerful. Yeah.
It's weird. I played through Witcher 1, completely fucked up with all the talents and shit, but, like, the weapons were still a thing I needed to upgrade at points, and it was very, very limited in the weapon upgrades, and that's less true here, but it still feels like it's, like, maybe, like, fucking 30% of a proper upgrade curve. Like, it's because the game is just so short.
Yeah.
It's just like, I feel like I want to go higher than this, and I guess that's what Witcher 3 is going to be. But it just feels weird to have such a truncated, like, curve.
Yeah, I have memories of selling so many swords and armor in Witcher 3. I did have a zero-weight inventory mod on that game, but I don't have it. They patched it out, basically, but they also patched how inventory works, so it's not shit.
That's good.
But there's still weight on inventory, but it's just a way. Because there's fast travel in Witcher 3, it's just a way so I can just get to the next fast travel point and just sell a bunch of shit.
So it's Fallout 3.
Yeah, sure. The thing is, Witcher 3 is a much larger space, so it kind of necessitates being able to traverse a bit quicker.
Yeah, I saw the achievement for 100 fast travel points. Oh no.
We'll talk about Witcher 3 when we actually start playing it.
Yeah. We also have a second point to this question. Also, in that sort of retrospective sense, what do you think this game's strengths and weaknesses are as a PS3/360 game in 2018?
It has no strengths as a PS3 game because it didn't appear on the platform.
Yeah.
That's me being pedantic there, but...
Yeah, Gen 7 game.
Yeah, of that era... I mean, that's kind of what we've sort of been arguing over the podcast, I think.
Yeah.
Really, it's the strengths and weaknesses of the game, but I don't know,
As, like, a contemporary game, it would have been something to tide you over difficulty-wise until Dark Souls came out, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the version I played didn't come out until after Dark Souls, and God, I struggled with Dark Souls for so long.
When did Dark Souls come out?
It's sort of late 2011.
Yeah, October 2011. Okay, yeah, no. I guess it would just be if fucking Dragon Age 2 didn't get your goat, Witcher 2 might.
Yeah, and I mean, I liked Dragon Age 2 at the time. I have not revisited it since because revisiting RPGs takes a lot of time, even though I'm currently revisiting all of Kingdom Hearts for the 20th time.
And also the entire Witcher series? Oh, no.
Yeah, but that's for the content.
Do it for the content, yes. Yeah,
Yeah, but no, it's been fascinating to revisit Witcher 2 at this point, because I find it hard selling the game as good, because it's clearly flawed, and like it still has that kind of like dumb edge that the books had, but like some of the worst parts are kind of sawed off. I mean, it does retain some of that, and like I wonder if it's because we've been through worse that I'm this, but I liked this game more when I played it in isolation just before Witcher 3 came out. So,
Yeah, it's a complicated thing knowing more. And honestly, I still kind of wish I just tried playing Witcher 3 without touching anything else, because that is an entirely valid way to engage with this franchise, I think.
Honestly, if you are curious, just play Witcher 3.
You can get it for $20 on your platform of choice during winter sales.
Yeah, they'll be coming up soon. So, like, there's no shame in just skipping ahead, I guess. I mean,
doesn't Witcher 3 also have like a thing where it asks you about world choice stuff? Anyway,
kind of. Yeah, the thing about Witcher 3 is that game is built a lot more to jump on new players. Because, like, especially the way the logo's designed, like, the Witcher 3's logo is, like, designed in a way that the 3 isn't necessarily obvious.
It's the scrapes in the background or whatever.
Yeah, so, like, in advertising, it'd be referred to The Witcher Wild Hunt.
That's interesting.
Because they really wanted to onboard newer players for it. And I can't say if it does a good job of that, because I've never been that person.
Yeah.
I jumped on with Witcher 2, and that game is not a great onboarding point, if I'll be honest.
It's not. I would argue it's not really great in general, but we've had this discussion over the last hour and a half. So, yeah, I can understand why they'd want to make it an onboarding point. It's basically like, I feel like the first two games were just kind of run-ups to the thing that ended up being Witcher 3, the big kind of thing that made CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, I think the thing with Witcher 2, Witcher 2, like, the Polish government had pride in Witcher 2 because they handed a copy to Obama when he visited. It was like some visit.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I can't believe. Game theory, what if the Pope plays Undertale? What if Obama plays The Witcher? I
don't think he played The Witcher.
I don't think the Pope played Undertale.
No, but
don't give video games to working adults who aren't in the industry. What are you doing?
No. I mean, I think it was more a sense of.
I know.
I think it's more of a gesture to show pride in the industry, but yeah, it's a weird. That was a weird story to read. I think the thing I like about this game is it feels like this is the point in which CD Projekt like has their own grasp on the world and start really like the thing about this game is like it as much as it feels like they're starting to actually make plot movement in the world, because the thing is like Witcher 1's plot is so inconsequential to everything, whereas this one is, I say it's like more shift, but it basically resets everything to the state it was in during the books.
Yeah, now with added backstory.
Yeah, and having just more of a driving plot, having more of an actual plot.
Yeah.
And I think having the cascading quests and going through different little bits and pieces, just chipping away at a mystery, I think that it's really fun to just sort of pick it apart and get all these little details. It feels like a step towards more what a kind of game The Witcher should be, where it is about investigation, it is about finding things out in a way that's not just go to this thing and kill monsters, or just remain neutral while an autopsy's going on.
Yeah.
And honestly, The Witcher 1 doesn't feel like it comes from the same series in some ways.
Yeah, it definitely feels like, I called it a Twilight Zone thing. It's very, I get what you're saying, and we'll see how The Witcher 3 pans out with that, because I feel like a lot of what made The Witcher interesting is not following a main plot, because like once the plot set in on the books, it was just kind of miserable. And it was all the little like vignettes of weird monster stories and all those little fun things like Borch 3 Jackdaws. That was like a cool small story. It wasn't cool what the Crinford Reavers did, but like everything else about that story was like, oh yeah, cool. And oh man, that reminds me. Oh no, I just remembered the fucking cobbler with the ram full of sulfur in chapter 1 of this game, which is a reference to them trying to kill the dragon in that story.
Yeah. Do you know what was a fun short story? Was the one with the goat demon.
Fucking which one was that?
That was the one where, like, they try to get rid of the goat demon, and, like, they basically... Like, the peasants try to do really specific, like, arcane things they read in a book to try and get rid of it, but, like, they all failed, so as a result, the goat is just chucking all kinds of, like, shit that the peasants had at the guy.
They fucking gave him ball bearings to try and get him to chew on them, and now he just has ball bearings to throw at them. What?
And it just, like, devolves into just Geralt, like,
headbutting
awkwardly wrestling with a goat demon.
What a fucking... Like, that's some good shit. Why couldn't we get that in the game? Goddamn.
I mean, I know we'll get to it, but the thing I really like about Witcher 3 is it has that as side quests.
I've said this before, I really feel like what The Witcher 3 can be without me having played it, because now I can't escape. Because I've committed too much time to this fucking thing to not play Witcher 3. So, like, I'm gonna play it, but I feel like the best that this game is going to do for me is to have room for the side quests to breathe and be interesting, because Witcher 2 is too much plot by volume.
Yeah, I mean, like, we struggled to sort of explain the plot a bit. I mean, I felt, this is the first time I felt like I've written out a Google Doc this time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I just tried to, from memory or a wiki summary, like, recount the plot, I would go mad and forget all sorts of little things. I mean, I already did, because it's just, there's so much to this game in such a short span.
Yeah, it feels like, kind of like we had that thing, Leroy also pointed this out at some point, where, like, the plot kind of waits and waits and waits, and then it all happens fucking instantly. Just, bam, Act 3, you're done. What happened? That's just a lot.
Yeah, no, this is... I mean, it's kind of going back a bit to the books in which Geralt is... Remember when he stumbled into a mage conspiracy because he stepped out for a piss?
God.
Like, it makes me feel like they're trying to go for something like that, where Geralt is... like, embroiled in some weird conspiracy, but, like, I feel like some of the weird, like, that kind of humor of the books is missing a little in places.
Yeah, it takes itself a little too seriously to have Geralt actually stumble out for a piss and, whoops, suddenly a revolution is going on. Which is, like, the books got, like, actively absurd at points. Between Geralt getting beat to shit for no reason and everything else.
Yeah, him just challenging a mage to a fight over Yennefer.
And losing. What a dweeb. Oh, man. God, I can't wait to see Regis again, though. I know he's in 3. One of the expansions.
Yeah. The thing about 3 is there's a bunch of stuff from the books coming back.
That's what I kind of mean by, like, the first 2 games were kind of running starts for the big show, where they finally feel comfortable doing the thing where they pull every reference they can in.
Yes, they get a Game of Thrones actor to play Emir van Emrys.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
Yes, they get Charles Dance.
I don't know who that is because I don't watch Game of Thrones.
No, I'm trying to think something. I'm trying to think if he's in something else, but like, I think he was in a Dracula movie. I think he's the bad guy in Last Action Hero. I think. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen him much, but yeah, they get an actor.
Dang.
Who doesn't do video game shit, and they have a publicity thing where this actor who isn't in much, this old actor who isn't in much video games, talking about how, video games, they're like real stories now. God,
The Witcher 3 has maybe one of the worst CG trailers they did for it, where, like, there's a bit where, like, he's fighting a bunch of humans, Geralt is fighting a bunch of humans, and, like, has his sword out, and the guy's like, oh, what are you doing? As he's on the floor, as Geralt's about to, like, murder him, and, like, Geralt just says, killing monsters, and murders the guy. And
it's like an even less subtle thing than the end of Witcher 1. No, that one's for monsters!
yeah, the thing is that, like, if you play the game, Witcher 3, you can tell that trailer was not made by the people that were working on Witcher 3.
Yeah.
I think because we're now... I mean, do you have any, like...
no, I don't have any other...
I do feel like, though, I have there's a stray observation I have about Witcher 2, which I forgot to mention, which I thought was a really fun thing, which is, there's, like, in the conspiracy to murder, like, Henselt, like, you basically go and take on, like, I think it's a side quest kind of thing, or a quest, but, like, you end up, like, taking on people involved in the conspiracy to murder Henselt, and you fight them, and you can go up to death mode. You can say, oh, I've murdered these people involved in the conspiracy. Do I get any reward for this? And he goes, yeah, sure. And how many have you killed? And it's 6 people. And Death Mode basically goes, well, after you say 6 people, he goes, holy shit, that's a lot of people.
I mean, that's
and
fair.
That's just a funny observation. It's just like, oh yeah, that is a lot of people I've just suddenly killed at once.
Yeah. The other the stray thought I have is that one of the swords is named Fate.
Yes.
The Sword of Destiny cuts both ways, and the Sword of Fate poisons 10% of the time. Continues to be one of my favorite tweets to come out of this game.
It's a good one.
Apparently Fate makes a reappearance in Witcher 3.
I think, well, most, like, because, like, the thing is, the swords you have at the end of Witcher 1 carry over.
Yeah. Erendite definitely comes back in Witcher 3 better.
Yeah.
And Lady of the Lake is just like, fucking don't lose us again, dipshit.
There are so many weapons and armor in 3.
It's 100-something hour game. I expect that much. It has a level curve that goes above 35.
I mean, to be fair, it had a level cap raise with the expansions.
Yeah. That's good.
But for Witcher 3, we're going to be doing things a little differently than we have for the first 2 games.
Yeah.
Because
it's too big.
Witcher 3... It's giant. It's a massive game. And, like, if we mainline it, we probably could do it, like, in one episode. But we'd have too much to talk about. We'd drop and forget so many things. It'd be such...
And you also have a job.
Yeah, I work for a retailer, and guess which time of year it is? It's around Christmas.
Yep. So the plan is we're going to take a break for December. We're not going to get into Witcher 3 until the start of the new year. We're going to be doing it roughly in, I want to say 4 or 5 chunks, including DLC.
Yeah. So I found an old tweet of mine where I said, oh wow, I've put 30 hours into this game, and I'm going to consider maybe moving to the second part and just seeing, because I want to do a proper dive into this game.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, the side quests are a lot more considered in this game. I mean, there is just, like, destroy these monsters, but there's a lot more, like, little vignette stories and side quests that aren't just standard video game side quests. They're stories in and of themselves. And I know that sounds a bit too, like, video game back of boxy, but, like, it's this game is that. And I feel like I don't want to gloss over things.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we might make a worse podcast by shooting through the game in one go. And
yeah.
I would stress myself too much because I only have so much time to play video games.
Yeah. I know that, like, for a long time, you were playing the game maybe an hour a day and made that just like a daily routine.
Yeah, no, I started the game when it came out in, like, mid-May and didn't finish it till about mid-July.
Yeah.
Like an hour... I was playing more on weekends, but yeah. It's a massive game.
Yeah, I also just want to say, like, this is the end point of the podcast. Like, we've been working through the rest of the stuff to get to this game, and I'm not gonna fucking rush this game because I know it's enormous. I'm gonna take time to soak in it and try and fucking enjoy it, and I know that that's gonna involve a lot of side quests. So, like, I'm also probably never going to play this game again, and that's fine, because it's an enormous game. I can only do, like, people who know me, know that I have put 90 hours into a fucking Persona game in a week and finished it. I'm not going to do that with this because that would kill me.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, when I say there is the Thronebreaker video game as well.
Yeah, we're also doing that.
Yeah. Maybe the Netflix TV series will have more. Unless you fancy doing the Polish TV series.
Let's not. And say we didn't.
You know what?
What?
I might consider reading the other book in the break.
Okay, you do that. I will not. And you can report back.
Well, the thing is I was checking on the Goodreads page, and like a lot of people were upset with it because nothing of consequence happens in the book.
Oh, are they new here?
So compared to the rest of because they basically have to invent a bunch of new characters so that they can do stuff in the book
without affecting canon. Oh
yeah. So I might give that a read. I may give up. I don't know. I mean, the thing is it's probably the perfect point to read it because it released between Witcher 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So I might do. It's a lot easier to read a book, and so maybe I have something to talk about in the next podcast. Maybe I won't.
Yeah, I mean, but next time we're going to be talking about roughly the first act of Witcher 3.
Yes. Are we talking about the White Orchard sections and the Velen section for those interested in playing along?
Yep. But for now, we're done with the vast majority of this series. Well, not vast majority. I think by volume, we just about spent halfway. We've gone halfway into the series because Witcher 3 is a big fucker.
Yeah, and depends how much of that Netflix series is coming eventually.
Oh my god. I want that to just be out so we can just watch it and talk about it.
Yeah, no, I want to, but
it's definitely not going to be out in 2019, I don't think.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they've got costumes. I don't know. I don't know enough about the process of making TV. Yeah. My brother knows more than I do. Maybe I'll ask him. If it does come out in 2019 and we haven't finished the podcast yet, we'll add it onto the pile. But I don't want to revive the podcast just to do it to me. We can talk about it. Like, I'm not going to stop you from watching it. But, like, if it comes out, like, December 2019 and we've been done since October, I'm not coming out of retirement. No, I want to. Maybe. It depends if we have enough to talk about. Because if it's just going to be adapting the books, like, it's just going to be kind of whatever. Yeah. By the way, this is Devon from the future. After editing, this was recorded before we knew that Geralt was going to be in Monster Hunter World, and yes, we're probably going to cover that in some capacity. Thank you for listening to Myth and Kin, this Witcher Travelogue podcast. We have a long road before us, but we'll take a little rest here. Is this our longest episode? It might be. We've been recording for nearly 2 hours. Yeah, we had a lot to talk about, and it bled over into Witcher 3 discussions, so thanks for listening. I've been Devon. You can find me on Twitter at SylvanFlux. That has been Sam. You can find him on Twitter at Samuel Howitt. And join us next time as we chase the wild hunt. Good night, everybody. Good night.